People are sharing the creepiest unsolved mysteries that they can't stop thinking about. So I decided to look into the details of each one. Brandon Swanson's case always boggled my mind. The fact that he alerted his parents that he was lost and needed help. They were on the phone with him, heading toward him, only to hear his last moments. To know they were so close is so terrifying. Recently, Reddit user uRandomweeb asked the people of r/ask Reddit to share the creepiest unsolved mystery that keeps them up at night. After reading through some of these, I will definitely not be sleeping soundly for the next couple of days. Here are the most bone-chilling cases. Warning: disturbing and graphic content ahead.
1. Logan Shindelman. A 19-year-old vanishes, and his car is discovered drifting into oncoming traffic. Logan Shindelman was a star football player, a kind friend, and a bright student. He loved to listen to music and was known to write poetry. Logan knew how to make his friends laugh and was well liked by his peers. In 2015, Logan graduated from Tumwater High School and went on to attend Washington State University in the fall. After his freshman year, Logan decided to drop out of college and moved back with his grandmother and his half-sister, working different jobs. Logan Shindelman was born on June 27, 1996. Logan is mixed race. His mother was biracial and his father was Saudi Arabian. Logan never met his father because he lived overseas. His mother, Hannah, wanted to go to art school in Olympia, Washington, and therefore Logan's grandmother was granted guardianship. Hannah remained present in Logan's life. Towards the end of his high school years, he was beginning to experience an identity crisis. A classmate made some inappropriate comments about his ethnicity. That experience led him to feel incredibly isolated and began separating himself from his local friends. When Logan is last seen. Logan was last seen by his grandmother on May 19, 2016 at their home. That morning, Ginny was getting ready for her job at the Washington State Department of Ecology. Logan was awake and began talking with his grandmother about a recent epiphany he had had. However, the exact details of the epiphany are not known because Ginny had to get work and asked if they could resume their conversation that evening. This would be the last time Ginny saw Logan. That evening, Logan was not home. However, Ginny checked Logan's phone location, and it pinged near his mother's location. Under the assumption that Logan was with his mother, Ginny was not concerned and felt he was safe. However, Logan was in the area of his mother's home, but did not see his mother. The following day, Logan was still not home. Logan's car is found. Strangely, the next day, Logan's 1996 black Chrysler Sebring convertible with a Washington license plate AVJ 8434 was discovered, was found on southbound Interstate 5 near milepost 92. Three different drivers called 911 to report a car drifting across 3 lanes of traffic at a slow speed. The callers also reported seeing a white man with either light brown or red hair jump out of the moving vehicle and proceed to run towards the woods. However, when authorities arrived on scene, there was no sign of anyone near or around the car, and the car was impounded. Between May 19th and May 23rd, Ginny starts to grow concerned for her grandson. She wanted to report him missing on Saturday, May 21st, but when she went to the Thurston County Sheriff's Office, they were closed. Therefore, she reported him missing on Monday, May 23rd. Ginny provided the Thurston County Sheriff's Office with Logan's identifying information and his car information. It was quickly discovered that Logan's car had been impounded on May 20th, which led Ginny to pick up her grandson's car. While there could be evidence inside the car, authorities did not brief Ginny on the proper forensic protocol. Therefore, she searches Logan's car for potential clues. Inside the car, she finds Logan's video games, football gear, some clothes, and movies. There are also snacks, an empty water bottle, and approximately $20. Logan's phone is still inside the car, along with his wallet and ID. In 2017, police released a suspect sketch after a woman came forward who described the two men believed to be near Logan's car while on Interstate 5. Only one of the two sketches were released. Logan is described as 6 feet tall, weighing approximately 190 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. He is multiracial and was 19 years old at the time of his disappearance. His hair is usually shaven, and he was wearing a black windbreaker, jeans, a white shirt, and possibly Nike sneakers. Logan has a small scar on his left forearm below his elbow. Logan is allergic to nuts and usually carries an EpiPen on him, but it is unknown if he had one on him at the time of his disappearance, where the case stands today. Logan's case remains unsolved. In 2018, Logan's story was featured on an episode of Disappeared on Investigation Discovery. In December 2020, the Hide and Seek podcast focuses its second season entirely on Logan's case. In 2023, Logan's case was featured in Season 2 of Dateline's Missing in America podcast. If you have any information on Logan's disappearance, please contact the Thurston County Sheriff's Office at 360-786-5500. 2. Walter Fowler. Where is Walter Fowler? Greg's sudden disappearance has shocked his community for over 20 years. Walter, Greg Fowler, who went by his middle name, Greg, was born on April 27, 1955. At the time of his disappearance, he had been working at a farmer's rural electric for 20 years. Unfortunately, there is very little information available about Greg as a person. The day before his disappearance, Greg called out of work. On June 18, 1999, Greg called out of work. However, there are conflicting reports as to whether or not Greg actually called out or if a family member did it for him by proxy. It was unusual for Greg to call out as he didn't take many sick days. The last person to see him alive was his wife, Deborah, who claimed that Greg was leaving for a fishing trip. Friends and co-workers noted that Greg was not an avid fisherman and that he preferred hunting or golfing. Deborah went to look for Greg 2 days later. Deborah asked for assistance from local law enforcement to help her look for Greg. En route to the lake, she drove past his boat, which had been capsized on the riverbank. It was missing its oars and the motor. There were no traces of Greg or his personal items. Later, the same day, law enforcement found his car 2 miles away from his boat. There were no further clues or leads following the discovery of his car. Deborah was convicted of arson and embezzlement in 2015. She purposefully set fire to a Dollar General's break room on the day it was supposed to be audited. The audit would have exposed her theft of inventory, embezzlement, and mismanagement of store finances. She worked there as a general manager, and she also used the store's bank account to hide the proceeds of Greg's life insurance policy. Deborah claimed that her marriage to Greg was a normal and happy one. Further investigation into the company's finances revealed that they were $250,000 in debt at the time of his disappearance. Deborah and her stepson were cleared of all involvement in Greg's disappearance, and no substantial leads have ever been produced since 1999. Some theorize that Deborah killed Greg the following day, disposed of his body in the lake or river, and staged the boat to capsize. She abandoned his car miles away and walked back home, or had someone follow her in her own car for a ride. She is not a suspect in this case at this time. If you have any information on this case, please call FBI's VICAP line at 800-634-4097. 3. Mark Ramen. A 40-year-old man never makes it home after leaving a local mall. Mark Donald Ramen has been described by family members as having several long-term friends, in addition to being well-liked by strangers who he would meet at his job working in the Pyramid Mall, known today as the Shops at Ithaca. Mark's sister describes his character best when she explained in an interview, if you needed $1 and he only had $1 in his pocket, he would give it to you. Everyone around Mark knew that he was a well-organized man who stuck to his routine. Mark's mother explained in an interview with the Ithaca Journal that he would wake up at the same time every day and have a bowl of cereal for breakfast before making his roughly 30-minute walk to work at the Sunglass Hut at the local mall. Friday, January 18, 2002, was a seemingly normal day for Mark, although we do not know much about how he spent most of his day. According to police, January 18th was his day off from his job at the Sunglass Hut in the local mall. However, Mark was last seen leaving this mall that evening, sometime between 9:30 p.m. and 10:30 p.m., and hasn't been seen for the past 20 years. When Mark didn't return home by the following morning, Mark's younger brother Paul became increasingly worried about his brother. Not only was it odd that Mark would stay out all night, but he also noticed that Mark didn't return that day to change into his business attire before his shift, as he always did. After contacting their mother, who also wasn't able to get in contact with Mark, the pair officially reported him missing. On January 21, 2002, only 3 days after Mark was last seen leaving the mall, he was seen at Tops Supermarket in nearby Lansing, New York, according to police. On January 24, 2002, police began conducting extensive searches of the areas surrounding his home and the mall where Mark was last officially seen, an area near Fall Creek, and various searches along his usual walking route to work. Unfortunately, these extensive searches would lead police no closer to finding Mark. At the time of his disappearance, Mark Donald Ramen was 40 years old, 5'5" tall, weighing approximately 135 pounds, and had brown hair and hazel eyes. Mark was last seen wearing a tan jacket, green golf shirt, blue jeans, and light green sneakers. Mark wears gold-rimmed glasses and is missing the tip of his right middle finger. Today, Mark would be 60 years old and remains missing over 20 years after he was last seen. Investigators have stated that there is little evidence indicating whether foul play may have had a role in Mark's disappearance. However, they do suspect that something may have occurred during Mark's 30-minute walk back to his home. If you have any information regarding the January 18, 2002, disappearance of Mark Donald Ramen, please contact the Tompkins County Sheriff's Department at 607-257-1345 or email your tip to nicevcap@troopers.ne.gov. 4. Kent Jacobs. A 41-year-old man goes for a walk and never returns home. Kent Jacobs was the firstborn in a family of 5 kids. He was raised in Hope Mills, North Carolina, and his parents were active in their local community. Kent's family recalls that he was full of life, incredibly kind, and would never hurt anyone. Kent loved Harley-Davidson motorcycles, rock music, and the Dallas Cowboys. However, if someone tried to harm him or take his money, he would have protected himself. Kent was working as a custodian at a local workshop. Kent was developmentally disabled, which results in Kent having the mental capacity of a 9-year-old. He was taking the necessary medication at the time of his disappearance. As a result, Kent was living in a group home, but his mother would pick him up on Fridays, the day Kent went missing. On March 8, 2002, Kent's mother, Martha, picked Kent up so he could spend the weekend with family. This was part of Kent's routine, which was incredibly important to him. On Sunday, March 10th, Kent went for a walk. It is believed that Kent had approximately $200 on him at the time of his disappearance. He had recently gotten paid at work. He loved to go on long walks by himself, but would always return home in time for curfew. The exact time of his curfew remains unknown, as some sources cite his curfew as 4 p.m., while others claim it was 6 p.m. When Kent didn't return home, his mother reported him missing a week before his birthday. Kent is described as 5'6" and 150 pounds. He has black hair and brown eyes. He has a tattoo of a small cross on his upper left arm, and his eyesight is extremely poor. He was last seen wearing a hooded Harley-Davidson sweatshirt or jacket, a t-shirt, blue jeans, and black Reebok sneakers. Kent is also a member of the Lumbee tribe. Multiple searches were conducted over the years, but no new information came forward. In 2010, a tipster came forward. The tipster claims that Kent is buried in a refrigerator located on Gregory Jones' property. Authorities obtained a search warrant, but due to environmental concerns, the search was called off after 2 days. The refrigerator in question has never been dug up, according to the family. Despite the fact that Kent had the mental capacity of a child, resources such as the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children were unable to provide assistance. When Kent disappeared, this was before the creation of a Silver Alert, which is a public notification to the public for a missing adult with Alzheimer's, dementia, or other disabilities. where the case stands today. Kent's case remains unsolved. In 2012, his family had him declared legally deceased. Local law enforcement has teamed up with other agencies to help with the search efforts. Both the local police and his family remain committed to finding Kent. If you have any information regarding Kent Jacobs' disappearance, please contact Senior Sergeant R. Westmoreland at 910-677-5596 or Crime Stoppers at 910-483-TIPS 8477.